So, welcome to the Profits of IT podcast here. Today, I have Sean Kline with me. Sean is the CEO of Turbotek. And where are you located, Sean?
Manchester, New Hampshire.
Manchester, New Hampshire. And your main business is your managed service provider. Is that correct?
Well, sort of. I mean, the term that has been used for our type of business is technology success provider. So we'll talk about it, I imagine, throughout this discussion, but that's what we call ourselves.
Got it. Okay. And tell me a little bit about yourself outside of your work. I see a bunch of medals in the background there.
Oh, yeah, sorry, not trying to brag. Those are very old, but yeah, no. So for fun, I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and the pandemic has obviously put a dent in that. But I got my first dose of vaccine, so I'm looking forward to in May to get the second one, and 2 weeks after that, I'm going to start training again.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've never done myself, but it sounds like it could be a fun thing to do.
Well, what I learned during the pandemic is the only type of exercise I like is combat.
Combat. That it sounds fun. So as long as they don't get hurt.
No. I say I practice murder, I don't commit it.
All right, cool. Anyways, so within your business yourself, what would you say is your superpower as far as an IT business owner?
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of differentiate between that idea of managed services provider and technology success provider, I would say that, and no offense to any managed services providers out there, that term is probably still on my website, but the reality is that 90% of managed services providers deploy a set of tools and then react to problems fundamentally when you kind of lift up the covers. And I'll just give you an example. So the last customer I closed, they were working with, actually, it's an interesting situation because this happens all the time. There was a really good managed service provider who was acquired by a certain company, and then they were acquired by another company. And what often happens in these roll-ups that I've observed is that original culture, process, intimacy gets lost, and it moves in favor of profit optimization. Not that we're not profitable as an industry in terms of technology success, in fact, more profitable actually, but they don't know how to run the business that way. And so in this particular case, and there's others bad examples, but they just weren't getting someone leading them in their technology strategy to achieve their business goals. They were getting someone who was reacting. And I brought my director of technology and professional services on the second sales meeting we had with them. And he asked a great question, which really kind of says it all. He says, when things are going well, do you ever hear from your IT services provider? And they said, no. I said, well, we're different in that way. We're going to be a part of your organization. It's like the difference between a G&A expense, someone who waters your plants, and a functional group like HR or accounting or marketing. So I know I said a lot of things there, but essentially what makes us different is that we're starting at the business goal level. We are understanding how our customers measure that. We're backfilling technology and infrastructure to meet those goals in that context by aligning them to best practices and standards. So kind of a nutshell, that's what we do.
Got it. So instead of just trying to fit technology within take any business and trying to fit any technology into it, you try to find the technology that's really the best for the business.
Well, yeah, it's about sort of finding the pinch points in the technology in the context of their business. Let me give you a really simple example. If you're an infrastructure focused company, you treat all servers the same. And you say, well, we got to make sure these are up, and maybe you're monitoring them, and maybe you're managing, and maybe you're fixing and all of that. But what if and of course, a lot of people on the cloud, this different discussion, but let's just keep it simple. Say they have some on-premise servers because they're really security, privacy concerned, and that's just how they run their business. And there are still companies like that. What if one of those servers contains marketing material from 10 years ago? It's not as important as their line of business server. It takes a level of sort of intelligence and strategy, and that's an oversimplified example, but we're going to apply a different set of resources and process to the business critical servers or the business critical situations as compared to, just if you're focused on the infrastructure without any context. And that also applies in the business. I think, engineers like to solve problems. Every day I have a daily huddle, and when I hear things, I want to say, all right, are we prioritizing things the right way? Why is this important as compared to this other issue? And how do we prevent this from ever happening to anyone else, as opposed to just fixing the problem and moving on?
Got it. Okay. And so if you had one thing that off the top of your head that I could do as a an IT business owner to make my business more profitable, what would you say? What is one nugget of advice to make my business more profitable?
I think it starts with getting command over your business. And so it's about understanding what are the economics. And so let's start, if you're reselling a lot of product and you're incentivizing people in your company to do that, that's by definition going to be a low margin business. Now, not to say that you can't make money on low margin businesses, because look at Walmart. You can, there are ways, but you just got to know what you're doing. If you're going to make a lot of money on a low margin business, you got to have a high volume, very high volume. If you are just selling services, there's a certain level of margin that you can get on that, say it's 40%, whatever it is. But the problem with that, and I can speak to some authority of this because I acquired my company and this is how they operated when I first acquired it. It's not very scalable. So you're essentially selling bodies. This might be disguised in terms of quote unquote managed services, which is why I say be careful with that term and why we try to use a different term. Because yeah, you could sell some monitoring services and kind of package around it, but really you're selling hours of time. If that's what you're doing, you're going to be limited. To get to more profitability, you have to think about how you're going to scale it and how you're going to leverage your assets, which are your employees. So I'll leave it at that. I mean, that's really the biggest thing.
All right. So really leveraging them as to more than just billing for their time and in ways that they can be so you can, instead of charging X amount per hour, if they can produce more value in that you can leverage, so that it's not just hours for dollars.
Exactly. I mean, it's about getting it to a level of value that you're delivering to the customer. Because, I'm in another sales situation. It's a startup company. They've got 15 employees. He thinks he's going to scale to 100. He doesn't want to think about IT. A lot of these people do not want to think about it. He wants to scale his business. And so if we as an industry can deliver value to these companies and a level of predictability, that's really what they're willing to pay for. It's not, to think about it in terms of, well, I'm just going to have low margin, low value customers. We can't really deliver very good results.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you for those helpful nuggets of advice there. Quick joke for you. So, question for you. How many programmers did it take to change a light bulb?
I'd say 3.
So the answer is none, because it's a hardware problem.
There we go.
I figure you deal with a lot of hardware, and you might appreciate that. So
there we go.
Well, Sean, thank you for your time here. And it was a great help. And until next time on the Prophets of IT podcast, have a great day.
Thank you, Jim. It was a pleasure.